Okay, it's recording now. So just need someone to start with the prayer.
Okay. I can say it again if we need.
Okay.
All right. Holy Father, we're thankful for this day. We're thankful for the chance we have to gain our education through BYU, and that thou may bless us with inspiration that we may remember the things we've learned and have our minds and hearts open to further knowledge and truth. And ask for thy guidance in this, and say this in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Okay, so going down the list, I think we shared some spiritual thoughts last time about visiting temples and the parable of the talents and so on. So, anyone have anything else they want to share as far as a spiritual thought?
I don't.
Nope.
Okay, so we're still right in the high of last time. All right. Each group member share one word that you felt described your negotiation experience. And then after you shared that word, why do you feel that way? Can you get a great negotiation outcome for yourself and keep a great relationship? Why do you think so? So I guess I'll start on that one. The word that I would describe the best for negotiation is struggle. And the reason why, and I only say struggle because I don't think power struggle is one word. I might be wrong on that, but I feel that way because it really is a power struggle. It's everyone's trying to get what's going to be best for them and get the best outcome for themselves. But none of the other two want to give up enough power to have that happen. So can you get a great negotiated outcome for yourself and keep a great relationship? I don't know. I guess that's dependent on each person. And then yeah, so what was the word you guys thought of?
Well, I was trying to think of a word. I don't know what word. I was thinking probably a little awkward.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to get, keep good relationships, but get what you need as well. And I'm not sure that there is a way to get what you want and keep a good relationship. I really don't. I don't.
Yeah. Because you're taking away from them, right? For selfish purposes.
Yeah. And you have to do what you need to do for yourself. And it's not always, what everybody else would agree with or want to pay or give or whatever you want to say. I think is really hard. I don't know that there is a way to get what you want and keep a good relationship with everybody else. And the more people that are involved, the harder it is, I think.
Yeah. And it's a real struggle because, like you're saying, it's hard to get what you want and keep a great relationship. But if you also give too much to keep a great relationship, then really you're hurting yourself. And it really is a struggle and kind of a balancing act.
I mean, it got to a point in our meeting where we were kind of at a standstill because we got to a certain point that was closer to what people wanted, but but not all the way there. And because we'd already been at it for an hour, and because we wanted just to be done with the simulation, we finally said, okay, fine.
Yeah, it's funny
But-
how long that can go. I was surprised how long that was able to go.
I know.
But okay. So the founders negotiated an agreement in November, the original agreement. Now Michael realizes he is doing most of the work. Is it fair to ask for a renegotiation? And so we each get a vote, yes or no, and essentially say why. So what's your vote?
Should I lost my tab where that question is? Hold on. Yeah, and now I can't find it.
So, we're on question 4, right?
Yes.
How Michael realizes he's
yeah.
doing most of the work. Is it fair to ask for a renegotiation? I don't know. That one's a tough one. I don't know. That's kind of borderline, I guess. If I had to say one or the other, I'd probably say yes, just because I think there's always room for negotiation, no matter what the circumstances are. Michael is doing most of the work, so I think he does have a little bit of leeway and a little bit of power to renegotiate in some regards. But at the same time, you got to be really, really, really careful on how you're going to negotiate or how you're going to negotiate, because sometimes you could put yourself out there as a liability. You could really turn things the wrong way. So I think I'm okay with yes on that, but just got to be really careful on how you're going to come across that way.
I would agree that there's always room and time for renegotiation. And I think you have to as you go along in a company too, because people, workloads change.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael was doing most of the work, but George was getting more than Puck. And I think Puck should have gotten more. George put up more money, but he wasn't doing anything else either.
Right. He was kind of like a support to
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Puck didn't put up money at the first because he wasn't involved in the initial starting either. So he didn't really have an option to put in money or not. He wasn't even there.
Right.
At that point.
I kind of sway on this. My initial thought was they shouldn't have had an agreement that early on to begin with. That I think
that's probably true.
They should have waited. But the fact that they did come up with it, I feel like the best thing they could have done is just keep it as is, because Michael is definitely doing a lot more work, but that's a lot of front heavy work as to where the others have a lot of back end work. And so in the long run, things even out and so on. And so to change things so quickly just because, hey, this week I worked harder than you and so now I need more immediately or something, it doesn't match up so well. And of course it's causing conflict. And so originally they should have waited till they figured things out more. But since they didn't, I say they should have kept the original agreement. It would have been the easiest clean cut way to just move forward.
But then how are they going to compensate Puck enough for the work that he's doing right now?
Right. Well, they lowered his. Okay, so he was gonna get, I think, 70,000 salary,
Mm-hmm.
and then he had a third of the shares or a third of the equity, and so that's actually more than what he gets after the change.
That's true.
Yeah. So it's really weird how that all comes out. And yeah, maybe down the road they do need to look at it more, but so soon just seems flip-floppy, if that makes
Well, and I
sense.
guess because Puck was doing so much work for them and it was taken away from his other job where he was making money regularly, you know, he needed that money now to, you know, pay for the things that he had been paying for before.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's really that's why they should have waited, and then they
Mhm.
could have gotten a more like, oh, okay,
Right.
Michael and Puck get the most, and then Georg, or however you pronounce it, gets less, but they didn't, and now it's causing a lot of arguments between them. So yeah, there's a lot of things to be said. I think there's no clear answer. Yes or no doesn't really matter. It's not exactly what everyone wanted.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
does Puck think it's fair to renegotiate? Why or why not? When should negotiation be allowed? Whenever someone feels they're doing more work? Question mark. And so, yeah, I think that the only reason that renegotiation is happening is because Michael is feeling jaded. You know, he feels like, hey, right now I'm doing more work, so let's change this. You know, it's in his benefit to do it at that time. As where if they wait till September or November of next year, you know, that might not be the case, and he might not get as much. So I don't think it should be whenever someone is seeking for, you know, to kind of get revenge on the others if they feel like they're doing more work. I think it should be more of a predetermined time. And I actually don't know if Puck thinks it's fair to renegotiate or not. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I didn't really see anything about him, you know, feeling like it was fair or not fair.
So let's see. To kind of better understand, Ellen, who was it that you played in this simulation? Me too.
Who'd you play?
I played as we both played as Puck.
Oh, did you?
You did
Okay.
Yep.
too? Funny.
And who do they have you as, Nathan?
George. George.
Okay. Yeah, I think his main motivation was making sure that his friend Warren, or whatever his name is, doesn't get left out. The freeloader.
Right?
Yeah, no kidding.
I was fighting to get that 1% off of him so bad.
He did nothing. Give me the 1%.
Right? Let Michael keep his. I want that 1%. Yeah.
I told my group, I was like, if you guys really feel like Warren deserves a 1 point, each of you give up half a point and give it to him, and I'm going to take his initial point. And that's what we did. So.
Oh, very nice. Nope, the George in my group was having none of that.
Yeah. It gets pretty heated. So, was it a good idea to come? Isn't that what they just asked? Was it a good idea to come to an agreement in November? If you say yes, tell the group why. If you say
We
no,
didn't talk about that.
Yeah, I think we basically already went over.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone just give your yay or your nay. Was it a good time to do it in November?
No.
No,
I
it
say
wasn't.
no. Yep, it was not. All right. And 6, discuss how the timing of an equity agreement affects a startup's ability to attract, motivate, and retain founders and early employees. As a group, you can come up with your own rule for when it's best to time to negotiate agreements.
I don't really think there is a rule about when is the best time. I think you just have to figure out. I mean, obviously, before things get out of control, crazy busy, you know.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
I
don't
agree
know
with
that there's
that.
a rule about when the best time is. I think it's different for every startup.
Yeah, I honestly can't think of something that'd be like, oh, it's got to be 6 weeks after you start.
Right.
The only thing I could imagine is they'd want to at least do it before they get an investor, because then the investor wants to kind of know where's their stance on how much equity are they going to get if they invest in the company.
True.
That's the only time I could think of that they would
Yeah.
have to have it established.
Yeah, I think realistically, like you guys were saying, you can't put a time on those kind of things. You really can't. Every venture is different. Every company is different. Every circumstance is different. So you kind of have to kind of monitor it and decide when the best time is going to be and kind of go with it. But you can't just really say, okay, we're going to do it this time all the time. That's just not the way it works.
Yep. That's exactly how I kind of feel about it.
Hmm.
Can't really tell. And each group is different. Each founder is different. Each company is different. So, all right. Look at the results of your class. What did you notice? How well did your team score compared to other groups? I think that is a disconnect because I don't think we can see anyone else's scores.
I don't think we can either.
So let's. I think the goal was to get over a certain amount for each one. I got 70 points on Fook or Puck or
Wow.
however it's pronounced.
I got 165.
What? How did you get that many points?
Let me see. What did I do? I ended up with 28% of the founder's equity
Okay.
and 85,000 for a salary
Okay.
and 10% of the seed equity.
All of that. I thought the 10% of the seed equity didn't give you anything. Am I wrong? Let me pull that up. I don't have it anyway. Whatever. Dang, that is so much. Okay, well, you're a better founder than me.
Or just more stubborn.
Maybe that's why I went over an hour.
Maybe.
Dang. All right. Well, okay. And then as a team, draft a new agreement that includes changes that would improve the results of attracting, motivating, and retaining the right people. So, I mean, it essentially kind of gives you the rubric to go by. Make it so that equity is earned as each member achieves milestones that kind of motivates each of the founders. Vesting over time. I tried looking up vesting. It's a pretty vague concept. Anyone know anything more about vesting?
I don't.
Nathan, do you?
Investing.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me look at I'm trying to.
I looked up a couple of business websites and they all have kind of vague but kind of different answers for each one of it. It's something that you give up, I think, for monetary purposes.
Yeah,
where you give up shares or something like that.
yeah, vesting over time. So this is how I understand it from like a 401k standpoint. So how it works is like, so for the company that I work for, in order to be fully invested, so to be totally get 100% um, from like, so depends on the 401k, depends on the company, but you have to be with the company for such a long period of time. For me, I've been there 3 years. So right now, if I were to go take out all of my money from my 401k, I would only get about 60% of what the company has vested into my 401k because I've only been there 3 years. I have to be there 5 years in order to get 100% vested. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
so
it's kind of like a
invested
progressive.
time gets
Yeah,
investment.
yeah. So basically, vesting over time is basically what's happening is the company will invest into your retirement or into whatever it may be over its extended period of time. What this does is it kind of protects the investment dollars that they're giving to you in case you decide to leave, because there's certain there's certain positions within certain companies that there's a lot of turnover. And the company doesn't want to say, okay, you're fully 100% invested after 6 months. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like they need you need to be able to show the company that you're committed, that you want to stay here longer term. So that's why they have those rules set up that after 1 year, 25%, after 2 years, 50%, and so on and so forth. Or it's 1 year, 20%, 2 year, 20, whatever it may be. And that's how I think that's how it's going. I don't know. But when I hear vested, that's what I think about. That's kind of the mindset that I have when I hear vesting over time. That's usually what that means, depending on that's at least what it means for 401k, but it can mean for other situations as well.
Yeah. So like in this case of our an agreement, an
Hmm.
equity split agreement,
Yeah.
uh, essentially like what you're saying is it's kind of
Mhm.
make sure you stay there longer and that you're actually invested in the company and that kind of investment comes back to you. So
Right.
I could see the benefit of that in an agreement.
Hmm.
And so the way they had it before was just like, hey, let's do this a three-way split. Great. And then some work harder than others, and some are just kind of like, maybe this will work out. Maybe I have other options. Instead, if you got something where you basically earn the equity over time by
Right.
achieving milestones, then and then of course vesting, then maybe that'll keep the founders around and motivate them to achieve those milestones.
So I'm looking at this article, 5 tips for founder vesting for entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Invest for the between or among the founders. There are 2 or more. Also, impose reasonable vesting restrictions upon incorporation to address issues with the Series A investors as well.
So it poses the Series A. Is that is that something that you can just choose to do, or is that what they're saying it always is?
Not always, you can choose to.
Huh.
These are things that you should do.
That's interesting. See, now I'm intrigued and I want to learn more about it. Because if you ever go into that and you have other investors, keep them motivated as well.
Oh, because it says if the founders don't have that already in place, the investors will impose their own vesting schedule.
Tricky little investors.
Huh.
Which is so sad because it's like, you know, a lot of these startup companies are just people excited about their company or their product
Right.
or their idea. And all these financial sharks just come in. They're like, hey, I'll give you some money, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to basically lawyer you up and do a bunch of stuff that benefits only me.
Right.
It's crazy. So yeah, I'm glad we looked more into that. I'm glad it even talks about that because that's something I want to look more into. So cool. All right. I don't know how we summarize this. Anyone want to give a summary?
Basically, what I get, at least what I summarize out of this, is you kind of have to, you got to be careful on how you're going to negotiate, especially the timing, but also how you're going to do it. Are you gonna vest it over time, or are you gonna do it a different way? Like you've got to, basically what I'm getting here is you've got to come to a resolution to figure out how you're going to be able to spread out or share this equity out to an agreement where everybody's going to be satisfied with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way
Or
that,
at least they know that as you've got this set up before they come in. So
yes,
if you don't like it, you look somewhere else for a job.
Yep.
exactly.
It lets them know exactly what they're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's the way they went about it was just kind of like it had good intentions, but they definitely would have benefited from something more solidified, direct, and something that would allow someone like Puck to know if he should go for it or not to join these guys.
Right.
So cool. All right. Well, I think we are good on that. And we're done.
Okay.
Well, thanks guys for moving it tonight. I appreciate it. Hopefully we shouldn't have any more issues. We'll be happy to move it, but I just thrown off guard with these questions. Didn't know what the heck was going on. I think everybody was thrown off guard.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought this was going to be an easy one because I was like, oh, it's only one case study. Fantastic.
Right.
Usually when there's only one, usually means there's more work, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I will never be blindsided again. So